Suppose for a moment that reincarnation operates in a linear way, that consciousness returns to the same timeline only in a later generation. Now, if that's true, then we may be the first generation in human history that has access to something no other generation has access to before. A complete record of our previous life. Unlike any generation that's come before us, we are leaving behind an extraordinary digital footprint. Photos, videos, social media, emails, purchases, voice recordings, GPS history, conversations, search history, cloud storage. Previous generations disappeared with relatively little evidence. Our generation is the first generation to document its lives in extraordinary detail. If someone somehow remembered fragments of a previous life, there may actually be records to test those memories against. For the first time, memory can be tested against history. This has never happened before. There's a movie called I Origins that actually explores this idea. It's about a scientist that has this fascination with the iris patterns in people's eyes. What they eventually discovered is that they're able to track people's reincarnated lives through the iris patterns in their eye. Now think about it, fingerprints, facial recognition, iris patterns. Governments, airports, phones, they are increasingly collecting more and more of this data every single day. Only are we collecting historical records, we're also collecting biological ones too. But at the same time, biotechnology is advancing rapidly. Embryo screening, gene editing, selection of inherited traits. The more control we gain over biology, the more difficult it's going to be able to distinguish natural inheritance from technological intervention. Now, if consciousness or reincarnation were to display biological patterns, would all this intervention make it easier to study, easier to notice, or would it make it harder to recognize? But let's suggest that consciousness isn't linear. Let's say that memories never survive and that consciousness arises somewhere totally unrelated to where you are now. And in that way, your previous life will remain inaccessible to you. Now, this world remembers you. It remembers your voice, your face, your writing, your conversations, your photographs, your relationships, your habits, your opinions, your digital footprint. Now, collectively, these fragments begin to resemble something far greater than just data. They start to resemble a person. Imagine that consciousness doesn't travel from one body to another. Imagine instead that every thought, every emotion, every decision, everything you've ever done leaves behind an imprint. Now, most ancient traditions throughout history have suggested that our lives and our actions leave something behind. Some call it karma, some call it the Akashic records. Others talk about a subtle body that outlives the physical body. Regardless, they all point to a similar intuition that information is actually harder to destroy than we think. We already know that the Earth stores history. Tree rings remember climate. Ice cores remember ancient atmospheres. Rock layers preserve extinct worlds. Even light itself carries information across billions of years. The universe seems remarkably good at remembering things. So here's a question. Could living beings leave behind something more than just bones? Not through magic, but through information. Now imagine that every single life that lives, or will ever live, leaves behind some kind of informational fingerprint. Not DNA, not memory, not a soul in the traditional sense of the idea, but some kind of unique pattern, an arrangement, a probability field. Whatever language you choose, for thousands of years, billions of these patterns appear and disappear, not inside people, but inside reality in the universe itself. Now imagine for a moment that under the right conditions, those patterns begin to reform. Not because one soul traveled from one body to another, but because reality reorganized itself into a similar configuration that allowed that pattern to repeat itself. And then a person is born. They speak like you, they look like you, they act like you, and if someone who you once knew saw them, they would be indistinguishable from you. Every civilization believed they understood reality. The Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, all eventually discovered that their ideas were incomplete. So what do we think we know today, or think we have a grasp on, that will appear obvious to someone in the future that we had wrong? What if consciousness is one of those things? Patterns repeat throughout nature. Snowflakes, galaxies, crystal structures, fractals. The universe seems remarkably comfortable with reusing patterns. Could consciousness be one of those patterns? If one day compelling evidence emerges that reincarnation is real, would everyone immediately accept it? History suggests otherwise. Not because the truth is always hidden, but because extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Institutions move cautiously, science requires replication, economic incentives influence research, politics shapes narratives, media amplifies some ideas while ignoring others. Healthy skepticism protects society. It can also delay acceptance of revolutionary ideas. The challenge is to distinguish extraordinary ideas from extraordinary truths. If humanity one day discovers that consciousness truly does live on, whether it's through information, whether it's through a soul, how would we even be able to identify it? Would it be hidden behind technology and skepticism and politics and the overwhelming amount of information that we ourselves create?